Okay, everybody, we're gonna get started. Hi, I'm Erin, and this is a gentle yoga beginner-friendly class. This is actually gonna be my last Saturday, you guys. I'm moving the time of my class. I've been teaching on Saturdays since I started teaching yoga, which was in 2014. And so yeah, almost 10 years of teaching on Saturdays. And it's just like really not, it hasn't been working for a while, but it's been one of those things that because I've been doing it for so long, I've been, clinging to it. And I'm going to switch it. So I'm going to teach Thursday afternoons from 4 to 5, same style of class, which I don't know if it'll work for anybody or not, but I'm going to try it out. And you know what? If it doesn't, I can always start teaching on Saturdays again. So I just wanted to announce that. And I'm going to tell you a little story about my week, which was that I took so I have 2 daughters. My youngest is going to be 2 next month. And I took her to this mommy and me gymnastics class, and she was having this great time. It was right at the end. Do you know those the parachute that kids remember when they were little? Maybe I do. And so we're sitting around in a circle, all the kids are in the middle, and I'm watching her, and she's sitting and having a great time. Parachute goes up and she's happy, and it goes down and it comes back up, and her whole face changes. And she went from just getting a little upset to crying to screaming in pain, and she didn't stop. And I had to take her to urgent care. What happened was that her forearm got dislocated. So I think that somebody must have yanked her arm, but I have no idea what happened because it was very cinematic. Like the parachute came down, and then when it came up, it was like, what just went on? And she's totally fine now. I took her, like the doctor was fantastic, popped it back in. Yeah. And then after that, like within a half hour, she's using her arm again and totally gotten over it, right? As little kids do. And I, of course, did not get over it. Like the next day, I just had this anxiety, right? Where mentally, I knew that she's fine, it's over, she's not in pain anymore, that this happens with little small children, right? That what can you do? There's nothing I could have done any differently. And yet on this physiological level, my nervous system could not let go of the charge, right? Like still in that state of like this intense adrenaline. And then the next day I had this anxiety where I'm like, we're not leaving the house, like I'm staying inside. Everything was just like too much. And so I listened to that, canceled my plans, just hung out, we had a good day. But even on this like emotional level, it felt violating, like someone attacked my kid, even though it was some other little kid, and not, intentional, let's say. And so what's the moral of this story is that we are processing the world around us on so many different levels. And I think that we are taught to think about it just in terms of of this rational response, right? Like what we should do, what we shouldn't do, what's okay, what's not okay. Like we're taught even from a very young age, like not to feel a lot of our emotions. Don't cry, kind of toughen up, you're okay, right? People say that to little kids all the time. Oh, you're fine. It's one of those things I told my husband and my mom, who are the ones who are around my kids. I'm like, we're not saying that. We're saying, are you okay? Like teach my kids that only they know if they're okay. And we're never taught about our nervous systems. I told this to my mom that I was like, I took the girls outside and my anxiety got worse, so we came back in. And she's like, well, it's not like you have neighbors who are coming over to talk to you. Like in her brain, it was like, well, it's like, no, it's not social anxiety. Like it's I have like a mini PTSD. Like I have this experience of this, what happened yesterday. I'm just not over it. And so what's really incredible about the practice of yoga is that it teaches us and gives us actual tools that we can use to link all of the different ways that we take in the world around us and the information, link them together in a way that's holistic and healing. And that's through the breath. Because logically, right, like I know my kid is fine, but my nervous system is still in a heightened state of stress response, where my body now still senses danger, right? Danger, danger. I'm not regulated. I can't activate my parasympathetic nervous system. And that's chemical. It's a chemical response. So much of the way that we take in the world is chemical. As our hormones and just different chemicals throughout the body. And so when we activate the breath, when we consciously say, okay, I can't fix this by just saying everything's fine. I can't bypass this mentally, right? That's a big thing that happens in the yoga communities, is spiritual bypassing. Like, oh, like just love and light, right? Just stay positive. And that doesn't work because our nervous system doesn't care about love and light, right? It just knows danger or safety. And so what we can do is say, I'm in a dysregulated state and I can communicate this to my body that I'm safe now through intentional breath. Because if we sit and we breathe in a way that activates our diaphragm and draws the breath down into our belly, it signals to the body that we must be safe enough in order to do that. Because if we were in danger, we would never even have the space or time to breathe that way. And that is what then can help to regulate the nervous system. The other thing that yoga teaches us is just to be with what is and allow ourselves to have our experience, to feel whatever the emotion is, to understand that there's that charge that needs to be expressed, maybe through the movement of the body or just by graceful compassion for ourselves. So let's all take a nice comfortable seat. And I encourage you to sit up high on something so that, like, I've got 3 blankets already. I'm using a 4th. So that when I sit up, the tops of my thighs are higher than my knees. So you may need more props than you think. But when we do this, so even this is an act of communicating to the body that we're not in a stressful or dangerous environment, because our psoas muscle, really big muscle, starts at the front of the spine and connects in the pelvis, hold on to anxiety and fear. And when we sit with our knees a little higher, the psoas is activated. So just by doing this, you can already kind of let go of some of that charge. And then close your eyes, please. Sit up nice and tall. And notice your breath without doing anything. Notice where you feel your breath most clearly in your body. For most of us, it will be the chest, the shoulders. Maybe you feel it at the tip of the nose, the nostrils, in your head. Or maybe if you've been practicing this breath work and yoga for a long time, you feel it in your belly. And then take one hand to your belly. Consciously deepen your breath and draw the breath all the way down into the low belly. Allowing that space beneath your hands to rise and fall with each breath. And this may be difficult. Changing the pattern of our breath, especially a lifetime, how we've been breathing, is a lot of work, a conscious commitment. So we just do our best. It can be challenging sometimes just to breathe in and out through the nose. So give yourself some room, some space, and some permission for this conscious breathing to be however it is right now, without your mind deeming it successful or a failure. And then notice if just this minute or so of deeper breathing has shifted anything in these other layers of our being. Maybe your mind got a little quieter. Maybe your physical body got a little less tight. Maybe your nervous system started to calm a little more. And maybe your emotional body became a little more open and available. And also maybe not. And then you can release your hand from your belly. Glide your hands back on your thighs until your elbows are just under your shoulders. And on your next inhale, let your shoulders float up, back, and gently down. Bring your awareness to the very top of your head, the center of your head, your crown chakra. And see if you could line that up right over your tailbone. And for most of us, this means that we take the back body back in space. Then let your hips and your legs get heavy. Settle into the support of your props beneath you. And let your legs and your hips get grounded, as if you were growing roots deep and wide into the earth beneath you. Breathe. Check in with your tongue and your mouth. So much tension gets held here in this part of the mouth. So relax your tongue down and let it get heavy and wide on the lower palate. Relax your jaw. Make some space between the corners of your eyes. Let your eyeballs descend back and down into their sockets. And see if here for the next few breaths, you could let go of any weight that you might be carrying. Any expectations of yourself, of your life, other people. And just for a breath or two, see if you could allow what it is to be just as it is, without the need to change it, to fix it. That is the practice of yoga. It's a union with all of the parts of ourselves, all of the different ways that we experience and take in our world, our life. All of the filters that we process our experiences through. Can we bring all of these together as one and hold space for ourselves just as we are? Please bring your hands together in front of your heart. I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. Maybe it's just that, to give yourself grace, right? For whatever it is that you need to practice self-care, to just allow your practice today to unfold as it's meant to, without expectation or judgment. It's very personal, the art of setting an intention. There's no right or wrong way to do it. And then we'll seal in our intentions and begin our class with 3 deep cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in. And then let it go with a sigh. Two more like that. And gently bow your head to your heart. Slowly open your eyes, release your hands, and let's come on down onto our backs to start. So you do want a little bit of space on either side of you, which means you can kind of stagger on the mat, and you'll want your strap. As you lay down, just take a moment to stretch out, full body stretch. Reach from your fingers to your toes. Feel your body on the ground. Notice what feels uneven. What feels good, what doesn't. And then on your next exhale, hug your right knee into your chest. Give it a squeeze so that you're pressurizing the top of the thigh. And activate your left leg. Flex your foot, press out through your heel. Feel your leg on the ground and see if you can start to root that left thigh bone down towards the earth. Take your shoulders back and down. So when we're under stress, which as human beings, we're under stress all the time, just varying degrees of it. But it's interesting how the body processes this and what we do and where we tense and grip and resist and try to control. And so for me, it's often my jaw. So notice where there's tension or tightness. It could be in your shoulders, and round our shoulders forward or pick them up towards our ears. And see if you could soften whatever part of your body kind of calls out as the biggest stress holder right now. And from here, take your strap and place it over the ball of your right foot and extend your right leg up towards the sky. Now, you don't have to get your legs straight here. If your hamstrings are really tight, you just keep your knee bent. You do your best. But as you move your leg towards straight, slide your hands down on your straps until you could get your shoulder blades onto your back. And then from here, take the straps into your right hand, bring your left hand down to the top of your left thigh. Ground through this part of your hip and your thigh on the left side. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, start to open your leg out to the right. Being mindful of whoever's next to you, giving them a little space. Breathe. Inhale, come back up to center. Change hands on your straps. Take your right arm out to the side. Breathe in here, and as you exhale, you can take your leg across your body over to the left. Only as far as feels good for you. So some of you could come all the way onto your outer left hip. And if you're pregnant, you will want to leave some space for your belly and not twist all of the way. Inhale back to center. Exhale, go ahead and release the strap, lower your right leg all the way down to the ground. Pause here and see if you feel a difference between your right and your left side. Maybe the right side feels longer, more grounded. Then inhale, reach your arms overhead. Exhale, hug your left knee in towards your chest. Drop your shoulders back and down. Notice if you're resisting the floor. And see if you could lean into the support of the floor, kind of do less work to hold yourself up. Focus on your breath and drawing the breath down into the low belly. When we practice yoga, we find that our mind starts to take us out of the present moment. This is just natural, right? We don't want the mind to stop thinking. It never, that's not good. Instead, we want to cultivate a practice where we can say, okay, there goes my mind thinking again, and I'm not available for that right now. Like, thank you very much, but I'm not going to follow you down that rabbit hole. So a thought pops up and we just come back to our breath. We start to wander. We come back to the present moment. Again and again and again. Take the strap over the ball of your left foot, extend your left leg straight up to the sky. Again, if you need to keep your knee bent, you keep your knee bent. Otherwise, you work the leg towards straight. Take the straps into your left hand. Slide your hand down on the straps until you can feel your shoulder blade connect onto your back and the floor. Bring your right hand to the top of your right thigh. Try to root down and ground through your right leg. Flex your right foot. Breathe in. As you exhale, open your leg out to the left. On your next inhale, bring your leg back up to center, change hands on your strap, take your left arm out to the side in a cactus arm. So that's with your elbow bent, elbows in line with your shoulder, wrist is over your elbow. Breathe in here, and as you exhale, you slowly start to roll onto your right hip, take your leg out over to the right. Notice if your left hip is hiking up towards your rib cage, and see if you could press it away. Making more space through the left side body. And come back into your breath. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, go ahead and release the strap, lower your leg all the way down to the ground. Take a moment here and pause. And then you'll hug your knees into your chest, roll to your right side. Just take a moment here. Couple of breaths, give yourself space to transition and to pause. This is another thing we're not taught. We're taught to go, 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 to always be doing, achieving, producing. We're not taught to rest, to slow down, to give ourselves a minute, right? We can get filled with guilt, like, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. So even just these brief moments on our mat when we're like, okay, I'm just gonna rest in between this pose and the next pose. It's a new pattern we teach ourselves. And then make your way up into child's pose. Child's pose, knees wide, big toes together. You send your hips back towards your heels, and if they don't touch, you could put something in between here, like a bolster or some blankets. Walk your hands out in front of you. Bring your forehead down to your mat or to a block. And pause. If having your arms overhead doesn't work for your body, you could bring them down by your sides. But if your arms are overhead, walk them out a few more inches and see if you could lengthen your spine out of your pelvis. The tendency for everyone in child's pose is to be a little too short in the side bodies and in the spine. You want to elongate the back, keep rooting the hips towards our feet and heels as we reach the crown of the head towards the top of the mat. And then lift your head and bring your left forearm in so that you could rest your head on top of your forearm. So you bend your elbow in like this. And just rest your forehead down onto your left forearm, sorry. Here you could send your breath right into the space in between your shoulder blades, the back of the heart. And if you're like me, you hold a lot of tension in your jaw and your mouth, this is a great place to open your mouth really, really wide. Move the lower jaw from one side to the other. You could even stick your tongue way out. Just releasing some tension without worrying about anybody seeing you making weird faces. And then go ahead and switch, bend your right elbow in, rest your forehead on your right forearm. And see if with every exhale, you could soften the space right behind your heart and melt your heart towards the mat a little bit more. From here, let's move into downward facing dog. You'll slowly make your way into down dog with your fingers spread evenly wide, your index fingers parallel to one another. Tuck your toes, send your hips up and back. You can pedal out through your legs here, bend one knee, send the opposite heel towards the ground. This is the first down dog of your day or of your week or of your month or of your year, whatever it is. This can feel like a ton of work. It's okay. It's all about allowing your experience to be as it is, as long as there's no pain. We can stay with discomfort and breathe through it. And if there is pain, you just come out and modify. You listen to your body. From here, inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Exhale as you fold, knees can stay bent if hamstrings are tight. You can take your feet a little bit wider if you're pregnant or if you have low back considerations. And then here, let's all bend our knees a little, grab onto opposite elbow tips and let yourself hang. You can kind of sway side to side, give it to gravity.
Release the clasp of your elbows. Keep your knees bent to protect your low back, and very slowly start to roll up to stand, stacking one vertebrae at a time. Letting your head come up last.
And from here, let's do a couple of shoulder rolls. Just take your shoulders up, back, down. And then release. Take a look at your feet. See that they're parallel. They can be sitting bone, hip distance apart, outer hip distance apart. And then bring your arms down by your sides with your palms face forward. Yes, and notice the difference in your shoulders. So you could roll your palms back in and then face them to the wall behind you and see how that feels, right? Not so good. This is how we spend a lot of our time. So now roll your palms to face forward again, take your shoulder blades onto your back. Notice the difference in your heart, your chest, and your shoulders. Keep that. Engage your legs, so kneecaps lift, thighs engage, hug your outer hips in. Notice if you popped your belly forward, there's a disconnect. We do this so often. So knit the ribs in. Imagine that there's like little strings from your hip bones, let's call them, pelvic bones, pelvis bones, to your rib cage. Little strings that you could tighten and knit in, engage your core, keep that, but don't lose the openness of your chest. Press into your feet, inhale, reach your arms up. Move down through your feet, lengthen up through your fingertips. Really nice, you guys. Now take your right hand to your left wrist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, reach out and over to the right. Send your hips to the left. Keep the weight even through both feet. Breathe. Inhale back up to center and change sides. So left hand grabs your right wrist, press down through your feet, inhale, lengthen, exhale, reach out over to the left, send your hips to the right. See if you could find that belly breath here. I like to imagine that with every inhale, there's just a little more space in my body. A little more room for breath. And with every exhale, there's a detoxification, a letting go, some kind of release or shedding. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, release your arms by your sides. Just shake it out. Let's do this. Bring your right hand to your belly, to your navel. So when we twist yoga, there's two parts of the body we focus on in twists. It's your hips and your shoulders. And one of those areas will be stationary in every twist, regardless of where you're doing it. So for this twist, we're going to twist from the upper back. Our shoulders are going to move. What we tend to do in a twist is move our hips, right? Because look, if I twist like this, look how far I can twist. But I'm not twisting my spine, right? I'm moving my hips. So it like feels like a deeper twist in our minds, but it's not. We're not getting into, we want to twist the spine, which doesn't have a huge range of motion, right? So it's going to be a smaller twist. So to do this, you're going to bring one hand to your belly and you're going to focus on keeping your navel forward. Then bring your left arm out to cactus. So your elbows in line with your shoulder, your wrist is over your elbow. Engage the shoulder blade onto your back. You can look towards your thumb, keep the belly where it is, and start to twist to the left. Think about the twist coming from the upper back. And notice when you start to move your arm, you want to keep the twist coming from the spine. And so maybe, yep, we're not twisting really far, right? But do you feel it? You feel it in your upper back? That's what we want. Breathe into that part of the upper back. Keep the navel forward. Take your shoulders back and down. Come back to center and release. And do you feel that? If I'm really tight in my upper back, I just feel like that opened something up that was like a little cementy. But if I had just twisted like this, I wouldn't even gotten to that area, because we'll always exploit the flexible parts of our body to avoid the parts that are tight. It's just our nature, so we don't like discomfort. Now bring your left hand to your low belly. Take your right arm into cactus. So shoulder blades stay on the back here, right? We want to keep this alignment. You can look towards your thumb, take a breath in, and as you exhale, you'll start to twist to the right. So navel stays forward. You're twisting from the center, like behind your heart, up. And just a couple of breaths. It doesn't have to be super deep. You're just trying to access that area and bring a little movement and bring some energy into the parts of us that don't move, or stagnant, or stuck, less mobile. Inhale, come back to center, release. Let's do a couple more shoulder rolls here. And maybe we feel more movement in the upper back a little bit, a little less crunchy, musty, sticky. Okay. Now, release good where you are. Take your arms down by your sides, palms face up. Inhale, reach your arms up through your fingertips. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway to the flat back. So slide your hands up the sides of your shins. Extend out through the crown of your head, shoulder blades on your back. Draw your belly in. Then exhale. Just step your, let's say, left leg back. So now we're in a lunge. You can come up onto blocks under your hands if you need a little more space. Right? Yoga is about creating space, giving our bodies the space that it needs. Hug your legs in towards each other. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Press out through your back heel and press your left thigh up towards the sky. Couple of breaths here. Now you could take your left hand down onto either your mat or even onto the wood floor off of your mat. And inhale, scoop your right arm up. Bend your right elbow and bring your fingers to the head of your shoulder. Then curl your shoulder back. Open up into that space where we just twisted from. And then extend your arm from there, lean your head back. You can really open this up and let this feel good on your body. Exhale, release your right hand down. Bring your left knee to the mat. You can pad under your knee if your knee is sensitive. There's no reason to be in pain. Just like take an extra second to get a blanket if that is what your body needs. And if it's not, then it's not. So here, we don't want to be on the kneecap. You want to be on the space just higher than that, the very base of your thigh bone. Walk your hands up onto your blocks, maybe even pretty high. Press your hips forward. Ideally, should feel this stretching the top of your thigh. Yes. Breathe. So now, this could be it. This could be your stopping point. And this is perfectly fine place to just be and breathe, especially if you have a lot of tightness in your thigh. You're already like, ooh, I'm feeling this. You just stay just like that. Or you could bend your left foot up. Maybe, maybe not. So everyone has a different body and a different experience of their body. Some people are born naturally strong and flexible. I'm not one of those people. I'm born naturally very tight and stiff. So if that's you too, and this is enough, we're just gonna stay like that. If you did want more, I could always reach back and grab your foot. Go ahead and release. And here we'll make our way back into downward facing dog. And I'm going to show you the modification for how to do this. If either you're pregnant or you just need it for mobility purposes. So you can take your hands over to the left and then bring your right leg back from there. And then walk your hands back and come into down dog. You can stay just like this in downward facing dog. You could take a moment in child's pose, or you can move through vinyasa here. I'll talk you through that option. Inhale forward to a high plank, a high push-up. Stay like that, or bring your knees down. As you exhale, roll forward on your toes, bend your elbows straight back, lower yourself all the way down. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Point your toes. Press the tops of the feet down into the ground. Inhale, heart forward and up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Exhale as you fold. Press down into your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, big step back with your right leg. So second side here, take your time. The left knee stacks over the left ankle. Press out through your right heel. Press your right thigh up to the sky. And hug the legs in towards each other. Reach out through the crown of your head. You can get up on your blocks here. You can have your hands on the ground. You can experiment and see which variation feels better for you. Then bring your right hand down to either the mat or to the floor. Inhale, sweep your left arm up as you twist. So here it's the same thing, right? We were talking about twists and the area of the body that moves versus the area of the body that stays stable. So here the hips stay stable. The shape of the legs doesn't move. The twist comes from the spine and the shoulders. Bend your left elbow, bring your fingertips to your shoulder, curl your shoulder back, open up the heart, then reach the arm. Yes. Press the back of the head back. Maybe you curl the heart open. Exhale, release. Bring your right knee down. Use your blanket if you used it on the first side, or maybe the side's different, maybe this knee is different. And again, you're not on the kneecap, you're towards the base of your right thigh. You can bring your hands up onto your blocks, give yourself some room and some space. And you can sink your hips down and forward. The side may be very different. Maybe it's a little more screamy, maybe it's a little less. So you could just hang out here, or you could bend your back knee. And you could always reach your right hand back for that foot. But it is not necessary, right? Yoga is all about finding the pose that allows your body to find its edge in that particular type of stretch. Right? It's not about your pose looking a certain way. It's about how it feels for you to sit inside of yourself in this particular shape. A couple more breaths. And then from here, do the same thing. Walk your hands all the way over to the right, inside of your left foot, and step that foot all the way back. Bring your hands back to your mat, find down dog. So you have an option here to stay in down dog or to move through vinyasa. You can always take a moment in child's pose. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. And as you inhale, take your right leg to the sky. As you exhale, lunge your foot up in between your hands. And if that does not happen, then you could come down onto your hands and knees. You could walk your hands over to the left, step your right foot forward, walk your hands back to bring your front foot. So we all end up back in this lunge, and it doesn't matter how you get there. What does matter is that your knees over your ankle. Pivot your back heel down this time. See that you have heel to arch alignment. Cartwheel your arms up. Warrior two. So your front foot points straight ahead. Take your gaze out over your right middle finger. Flip your palms. Draw your shoulder blades onto the back of the heart. Keep that. Notice if you disconnected here at your rib cage. Pull your rib cage in. Flip your palms down. Look over your right middle finger. And then see if you could take the center of your head right over your tailbone. Couple of breaths. Flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. So nothing changes in your legs. Your back hand can rest gently on the back leg. Lean back and lengthen out of your place. Cartwheel your arms down. Bring your hands to the inside of your right foot. Walk your hands over to the left and turn your right toes in until you're in a wide-legged forward fold. Feet are parallel. Inhale, lengthen to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Then here, place your left hand right in front of your face. And if you need more height, you can use a block underneath your hand. Being mindful of your belly and keeping your navel pointing towards your mat. Inhale, sweep your right arm up. You could bend your right elbow and bring your fingertips to the top of your shoulder and twist from there. Go ahead and release. Bring your right hand in front of your face.
So do you guys feel the difference, how much less of a twist this is? When you keep your hips level, your navel facing the floor, as if you had like a plumb line, right? A string with a weight on it that hung from your navel, that stayed pointing right down to the center of your mat. Keep that, draw the belly in. Inhale, twist to the left. You could also imagine that you had a drink sitting on your low back. If your low back is a little tabletop and you don't want it to spill. So that stays level. Exhale, release. Now walk your hands over to the left, turn your left toes to face forward, pivot your right heel up so you're coming back up into your lunge to start. And then once you feel like you're in a good position here, you'll pivot your back heel down, cartwheel your arms up, and find warrior two on the second side. Lift your palms, draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Keep your navel drawing into your spine. Tuck your lower ribs in. Keep your heart open. Flip your palms back down. Center of the head right over your tailbone. And breathe. Flip your front palm, reverse to warrior. Cartwheel your arms down, pivot your back heel up, make your way into downward facing dog. From here, we're gonna come onto our backs. You can take a final vinyasa if that's speaking to you. And take a sip of your water. Come to lay down on your backs. Bend your knees, place the soles of your feet on the ground. Take the soles of your feet together. Your knee flat. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and Supta Baddha. Feel your breath fill up the spaces underneath your hands. Check in again with your jaw, your tongue. Smooth out your forehead and let go of the furrowing of the brow. Inhale your knees back up to center. Take your feet as wide as your mat. Bring your arms out into cactus. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, drop your knees over to the right. Take your gaze out over your left shoulder. And then we'll just windshield wiper here with our breath. So inhale, knees and gaze come up to center. Exhale, knees to the left, look over to the right, and move here with your breath. It's a really great, gentle hip opener.
Inhale, come back to center. Hug your knees into your chest. Take your knees wide. Bring the soles of your feet up to the sky. Grab onto the pinky toe edges of your feet. You could grab onto your shins or your ankles for happy baby. Draw your knees down towards the earth. You could rock side to side, or you could stay stationary. When this pose feels complete for you, you can make your way into Shavasana. If laying flat on your back doesn't work for you in Shavasana, if you're you can do a sideline Shavasana. If you just want to try that today, because it can be so bolster. Come to lay on your back. You can have a blanket underneath your head. Your right arm comes out with palm face up. Yeah, I need a blanket in this position. Fold it a couple times as a little pillow. And then you could take your right leg up onto, I'm sorry, left leg up onto the bolster. You can cover up with a blanket. And I will offer very quick Reiki in Shavasana. Reiki is just a universal light energy that your body knows what to do with. If you don't want to receive Reiki, just raise any particular limb. Otherwise, you'll feel my hands on your head. Let the weight of your body drop down to the ground as if you're sinking down to warm sand beneath you, being held by the earth. Give yourself permission here to let go of anything that's no longer serving you. Anything that happened before this moment, anything that's still planned for your day, your to-do list. Surrender it here. Move your tongue away from the roof of your mouth and the back of your teeth. Widen the corners of your eyes. Let your eyeballs descend back into their sockets. And give yourself permission to fully surrender into Shavasana. Slowly and gently begin to deepen your breath. Draw awareness back into your body. You start to wiggle your fingers, your toes. And start to move and stretch in any way that feels best on your body. And hug your knees into your chest. Gently roll to your right side. And in your own time, you can make your way back up to find a comfortable seat. Once you arrive, close your eyes. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And just take a moment here to notice the state of your being. Notice how your body feels. Notice your breath in your body. The quality of your mind, your thoughts, your emotional self, and your spiritual body, your connection to something greater than yourself. Take this final moment to honor your practice, this work that we do through the ancient art of yoga. Call back your intention that you set at the beginning of class. Feel free to modify or change it in any way to use for the rest of your day, to carry with you off of your mat, back out into your life. And we'll seal in our intentions and end our class with a final cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Gently bow your head to your heart. The light within me recognizes and honors this very same light in each one of you. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you all so much for your practice. Hopefully I'll see you on a Thursday sometime, and you can always sign up for my mailing list if you're interested in when I'm teaching or in doing Reiki trainings or anything like that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.